Ever since the Madden Bowl, the inside zone split is a run that gives a lot of players trouble. And the reason for that is that the tight end that typically slides across the blocking scheme is there to kick out the backside pursuit, but he also oftentimes picks up a user gap shooter through the middle, which makes stopping this run so much more difficult. You also factor in that in a lot of cases, players have threat detector. So if you try to run blitz against this on a third or fourth down, they're probably going to check out and throw short over the middle against a heavier run blitz. So what do you do against this particular run scheme? I think it's the best run scheme in the game, but in this video, I'm going to show you guys a way that I try to attack any type of inside zone split or shotgun based read option with the tight end lead blocking across the formation. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? Zam from the Zam Madden YouTube channel, and the inside zone split is definitely a run that has grown in popularity ever since Mr. Football 88 won about $70,000. Cha-ching. This was his base run that really carved up dollar, and a lot of players know that the inside zone split or the read option is good against dollar, but they also don't really understand how darn good it is against 4-down lineman sets. And as a player that typically mains 4-down linemen, and you guys know big nickel over G is my favorite defense, I typically struggle against this run. In fact, I would go as far as to call it the best shotgun run in the game. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys kind of how to deal with this run, or at least what I do to try to slow it down, because it is, I believe, that good. Now, for this particular tip, you guys will need to pay attention to whether or not your opponent is running an AKA X Factor running back, such as the Quad Father, King Henry, Gus the Bus, or Flash. If they have any of these items, you guys will need to make sure that you guys have secure tacklers on the field to make this gap shoot or this run fit that we're going to show you guys work. Let's go ahead and get into this here. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to take Cordero Patterson off the field to kind of illustrate to you guys, in general, what it is that we're dealing with here with this run. Now, unlike a regular inside zone, we typically have inside zone gap shoots, and I'll start off by kind of showing that to you. With an inside zone, we obviously know that there are gap shoots that we have available where you can kind of just lock in and then just fly in through the B gap and make tackles for loss. Those are really, really simple, because if you can find the hole in the zone blocking scheme, you can fly through and make those tackles for loss. So you see here in this example with zone-based schemes, everybody's kind of stepping to a side and they're blocking an area. That opens up that hole. You find the hole in the zone and you're able to get in. So that gap shoot is really, really effective. Now, the difference with an inside zone split is that there is a tight end in this particular block scheme that cuts across the formation to kick out a backside end that might crash down hard. And with this particular blocking scheme, it also in Madden eliminates the ability to use their gap shoot consistently, because he'll basically run right in and hit the user in the backfield. So let's show you guys immediately what that looks like. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to set up a backside gap shoot, and I'm going to kind of offset right here. And we're going to do the lock-in trick. I talk about this all the time, but just as a refresher, if you guys want to lock your user so you can basically not move until the ball is snapped, you press A or X on PlayStation, flick the right stick up for the individual coverage menu. And once that user interface is up on the screen, your player is locked in, meaning that he won't move if I tap the stick. So with this particular gap shoot, I'm just going to try to fly in, and you're going to see that that tight end kicks me out. And that is why you can't really gap shoot inside zone split that effectively. So you see that if this were a regular inside zone, we would have a tackle for loss. But in this particular scheme, the tight end basically kicks me out of the gap, which allows me to get to the second level as a ball carrier. Now, if I'm using the running back on this play, and let's say that I've got that phenom ability or that King Henry freight train, we're going to make this first guy miss, and this is going to be a massive run. So what you're seeing right now is players will run this blocking scheme, and it gives a lot of the gap shoots a ton of trouble. So I want to go ahead now and focus on how we can go ahead and slow this down. There are two ways to do this. The first way is the hard way, so let's go ahead and show you that first, and then I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an easier way at the end of the video. I'm going to put Flash back on the field here, just so that way we can kind of put ourselves in a game scenario. You want to practice this against the glowing running backs, because that's typically what you're going to face with this. So when you have a glowing running back or the threat of an AKA running back on the field, I recommend the Secure Tackler 0 AP Adrian Wilson. Now, this is a 93 overall card. A lot of players do not roster this item, but it's great depth. It helps fill your Legend theme team for those of you that play MUT. If you guys are playing regs, you just want a Secure Tackler in general. You guys aren't dealing with AKA running backs, so that part really doesn't even matter. But for MUT purposes, I love Adrian Wilson. Now, I would also recommend having another Secure Tackler right here. So I'm going to put in the other Legend that I can recall. I believe the only one that gets a free Secure Tackler besides Adrian Wilson is the middle linebacker, Willie Anderson. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on this, because obviously at this point in the year, this is early April, and this is what we have available to us right now. But I would imagine that down the road, we will get more of those Legend Secure Tacklers that are free to utilize. So with this particular setup, this is gonna kind of allow you to do the hard way or the easy way. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the gap shoot that I use against 01 Trap. Now, I've talked about the 01 Trap gap shoot in shorts and long forms here on the channel. I will try to link those in the description so that way you guys can kind of see how I gap shoot 01 Trap. But what we're going to do is we're going to pinch the line and crash up. And then we're going to take our user and we're going to stand right here. Now, we're going to lock in and try to fly straight through the middle, keeping in mind that the tight end is still there to kick us out. So this is where we kind of introduce the hard part. If you guys are comfortable with this, what we're going to actually do is we are going to dive as soon as we get into the A gap. And what I mean by this is you basically see, I'm going to leave the red circle here so you can see my user. When the ball is snapped, basically when you hit this blue line or even a yard ahead, this is where I would start a diving animation. Because in a lot of cases, if your guy goes airborne, there isn't an animation for a block in Madden where the tight end can actually get his hands on this player. Now, aiming your dive is very, very difficult. A lot of times you won't even hit the ball carrier, but in a lot of cases, it is enough to kind of just mess up the middle of the field on this and make it tough on your opponent to run. So traditionally what we're going to do here is we are going to hit X or square on PlayStation to do a dive tackle when we get to about this point. Again, keeping in mind that it might be tough to get the actual animation to tackle him, but that there is still dividends that can be paid off with this. So I'm going to go ahead and put my player right here, lock him in, snap the ball, and you see that I do this dive animation, and I was so close to getting it to work, but it is a challenge, right? So I'll do this a few times. You'll kind of see what it looks like, just generally speaking. Again, kind of locking in behind this defensive tackle, ball snapped, do this dive animation. You see right there, I tripped up the ball carrier. And that is exactly what we're looking for on this. And if you have a secure tackler, which Adrian Wilson is, in a lot of cases, this is actually enough to, come through the middle and get that tackle for a loss. And you see, that's exactly what we're doing. This is the hard way, but it's probably the best way to go about doing this if you can practice and get this down. Again, you're kind of seeing that as soon as the ball's snapped, I'm just launching, right? And right there is an example where I didn't really hit, and the ball carrier was able to get to that next level. As you guys kind of practice through this, you guys are going to figure out just how comfortable you are with this. Again, it's not going to be an every down occurrence for you, but it is in a lot of cases enough to kind of just chip up the tight end. It can kind of scare your opponent maybe. Oh my gosh, he's got a gap shoot. Should I run this? Is he going to come through? And the answer is probably yes in a lot of cases. You see right there, when I start to dive really, really early, it is lending towards the tight end blocking me. So try to practice. You might even find a different placement. You notice that in some cases, if I kind of line up right here, it's actually working pretty well for me. But sometimes if you change it up too much, it might change the block targeting. So keep that in the back of your mind as you play through this. If you find that this part of the tip is just not that effective for you, that's totally fine. I'm going to show you guys the easy way here in a second. But again, just trying to fly through and get that tackle, there's exactly what we're looking for right there in this example. So again, as you see right here, I'm basically, as soon as I get about a yard or even really about a half yard away from the blue line, I start my diving animation. And that makes it so the tight end can't really make a block on me. And I'm going to be able to potentially trip up the ball carrier in the backfield. In a lot of cases, you don't even need a secure tackler to make this animation occur, because tripping animations are not associated with a break tackle rating or anything like that. It's actually a hitbox physics deal. So if you guys get really good at this, you might not even need a secure tackler for this, but this is the hard way. Let's move on to the one that is a little bit more, I would say, safe in terms of getting a secure tackler to the ball carrier. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up the exact same pinch and crash up, but instead of gap shooting with the running back side player, we're actually gonna gap shoot with the front side player. Now with this, there really is no dive tackle opportunity, but what it actually does do is it allows this guy to float in space. And usually he will kind of come around and make contact in this B gap. So let's go ahead and show you guys how this works here. Again, I am kind of doing this out of a cover 2, but you could do this out of a variety of different run fits. So I'm gonna lock in Anderson and I'm gonna fly down. And you see that that secure tackler is right there. So they can only go front side with this. Because we're crashing the defensive line up, there is no cutback lane on this inside zone split. And you see right here that we get a free secure tackler in the hole right against that phenom running back. So you're in a spot that, you know, if they're glowing, you've got something that can counter that. So again, let me show you again how this works. We're gonna pinch our D line. We're gonna crash up, kind of stack our linebackers like so. You're gonna lock in the tight end side, fly down, and you see that that kind of just serves as a roadblock. It doesn't let the combo block get up to that second level and block anybody, which allows, it's not really what you would call a scrape exchange IRL, but it is close enough. You see that you kind of get this linebacker looping around and getting to the ball carrier in the hole. So this is a way that's pretty good, to be honest with you, for countering this. Now, you know, in general, I have seen some people do a gap shoot where they kind of like stack themselves over here and crash up. I have noticed that that can be somewhat effective. You see right there, you might be able to gap shoot that way as well. But again, the problem with this is that in some cases, if they see that gap shoot away, they may end up running a regular inside zone, which is going to end up with the tight end just kicking you out, and you don't really want that to occur. So you have to be really, really certain that it's an inside zone split to make this work. But it can be a pretty good tackle gap shoot style run that you guys can utilize. So in theory, there were actually 3 ways to gap shoot this, but I wanted to save the easier ways for the end of the video. Again, I think that you guys are gonna like this particular gap shoot as well. Once you get used to dive tackling, this is gonna really, really help you out. It also allows you in some cases to stay on the weak side of the formation. If you kind of imagine, there are a lot of inside zone splits where the third receiver is actually on the side away from the running back. So in cases like this, this actually kind of makes it, you know, a little bit tougher. You see right here, you know, you can still do those dive tackle animations, but you're forcing them into the numbers. So they're not really able to cut it back. That's kind of the best part of this. You're really not allowing them to just gash you with this run. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, make sure that you guys drop those below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. We'll see you guys a little bit later with our next YouTube short, or tomorrow with our next long form update. Until tomorrow, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.